So last we saw, Jamie was potentially going to be the new killer. Can't wait to see how they go about fulfilling that. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my look at the Halloween franchise. This week, Michael continues the hunt for his niece in Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Part 4 was a moderate success at the box office, even though it only grossed about $3 million more than Season of the Witch. Reactions from critics and audiences were mixed, as some thought it was a pale imitation of the original, while others appreciated the return to form by bringing Michael back. Producer Mustafa Akkad was already planning for another sequel before Return even left theaters, wanting to see it released a year later in October of 1989. Deborah Hill recommended French director Dominique Othenin-Girard to Akkad to direct the follow-up. They got along fairly well, and he was hired. The first script turned in for Halloween 5 was done by Shem Bitterman, who had Jamie become an evil character while Michael was chasing after her. Akkad rejected this one, and Michael Jacobs was brought in to write a new script, which would ultimately become the movie we got, although Girard added in some aspects of his own. It takes place a year after the events of Part 4, Jamie forming a psychic connection to Michael as he attempts to kill her and everyone that stands in his way. And with all this going on, there would be the inclusion of a strange mark related to Michael and a mysterious man in black working behind the scenes. Donald Pleasance, Danielle Harris, Ellie Cornell, and Beau Starr all came back to reprise their previous roles, even though several of them weren't thrilled with the script. Native American actor Don Shanks replaced George Wilbur as Michael Myers. So how would a rush story with a French director and cast that wasn't keen on the ideas fare? Let's find out. The movie begins with seizure-inducing credits involving a pumpkin being slashed, but it recaps the ending to Part 4, except... God damn, had you shown dynamite being tossed down before, I would have been more inclined to believe Loomis before when he said Michael was in hell. Kind of a big thing to skip. Michael floats on down the river, flailing around like an idiot, until he comes across the home of a hermit where he just collapses and apparently sleeps for a year. On October 30th, 1989, Jamie, who can hardly speak anymore, is now in a children's clinic having nightmares about the night she stabbed her foster mother. Yeah, apparently she didn't kill her. You certainly fooled me with the amount of blood she was covered in. She begins to feel and see Michael awake from his slumber, spotting a weird thorn tattoo on his wrist and his face that looks totally fine for someone that was burned all over 11 years prior. He puts on his mask, which looks even more horrendous than before, and he kills the poor old hermit who took care of him. Worst house guest ever. Jamie begins to convulse, but before the doctors can operate on her, Dr. Loomis jumps in, telling them to stop because she'll be fine.
I see you still want this girl dead. She has something to tell us.
The next morning, Rachel is right by Jamie's side. Unfortunately, they're joined by their friend Tina. You'll find out quicker than the speed of sound why it's such a shame that she arrived.
It looks so good.
She is the worst. She is the worst person in the world. Huge skank.
Loomis luckily breaks up the party, but before they can leave, a brick is tossed through the window with the message that the evil child must die. Whoever threw that must have seen Tina hop through the window. Rachel returns home with her dog Max, but Michael is hiding outside while she parades around half naked. Jamie gets visions of him, so Loomis calls Rachel to make sure she escapes the house and calls the police.
All clear. Nothing above, nothing below.
That music is legitimately in the movie, not a joke I added. I don't know why they thought it would be funny or necessary to give the bumbling cops their own theme music, but it has no business being in a Halloween movie. They found nothing in the house, so Rachel is good to go back inside. Meanwhile, Jamie is dealing with her own creeper.
Tell me what you know. Right.
Loomis is absolutely batshit insane by this point. I said before that he was perceived as the crazy old man yelling about evil, but now he really has become that image. Back at the house, Rachel hears some noises, eventually finding a shattered picture of Jamie with blood on it. It's such bullshit that Rachel, the girl we grew to love in the previous movie, is unceremoniously killed off within 20 minutes. Feels like such a disservice to her character. The cute girl next door who fought off Myers so well before was reduced to parading around half naked, then getting scissors to the chest. Ellie Cornell was also unhappy with Rachel's fate.
Didn't quite expect to be killed off so early. And it was, the way it was written was that I was supposed to get scissors shoved down my throat. And I just thought for Rachel, it was too undignified. It didn't sit right. And so, you know, I made a fuss about that and they rewrote it so it was a little bit less graphic.
Loomis assumes Michael has returned and tells Meeker they need to be on the lookout, reminding him of what happened to his daughter a year ago. Tina shows up to Rachel's house but can't find her anywhere. Oh, but she's surprised jump scared by another friend, Samantha, who is ready to leave and party with the girls. They're picked up by Tina's boyfriend, Mike. Clever. Wonder if they'll use that name to cause a hilarious mix-up. But Jamie sees Michael, Myers, outside and tries to escape to the basement. The chase is all for naught because it's just the gardener that finds her and she's brought back to her room to deal with someone far scarier.
We both know he's alive. But you know where he is! What about your stepmother, Jamie?
Randomly cut to a man in black stepping off a bus, then back to Loomis arriving at an abandoned house. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the Myers house. Gosh, I think my confusion is justified though, because these are not the same freaking house in any reality. Loomis walks around looking for Michael, while the man in black also arrives with the same tattoo mark Michael has on his wrist. This goes nowhere, so jump to the local mini-mart where Samantha's boyfriend Spitz promises beer for the crew. Mike heads behind the store so they can sneak out some cases, but when Myers messes up his car, he instigates a losing fight. This is really the only good kill. I always notice the weird little jump edit after he hits the ground, but the twitches are effective in making the attack more brutal. Myers pulls up in Mike's car to pick up Tina, but now he's wearing a different mask, so she's none the wiser that she's with the wrong Michael. She somehow manages to get him to pull over so she can get some frickin' cigarettes though. Jamie has more visions and finally manages to speak and utter the words "cookie woman" to notify Loomis and the police of Tina's location so they can save her. The two are reunited and Jamie begs Tina to stay, but she blows off her request to essentially get laid.
He's sensible.
I'm never sensible if I can help it.
Tina!
The worst! She's the worst in the world.
Loomis orders the bumbling deputies from earlier to follow her while the man in black is still just walking around, this time outside the clinic. Jamie and her little friend Billy sneak out in order to go find and bring back Tina. Kids, just let her be. Whatever happens will happen when Michael finds her. Tina meets up with Samantha and Spitz at the Halloween party, and they decide it's a bright idea to play a prank on the deputies.
If we must spare my friend. She's a virgin.
Got her phone number? You think that's funny?
Huh. I asked the same question earlier when your guys' stupid music was played. The teens run into the farmhouse, play with some kittens, and play more pranks that cause Tina to leave, leaving Samantha and Spitz all alone. Oh my god, that joke worked just as well the second time. So not at all. After a small fight, they calm down and finally decide to have sex for the first time. I'm sure it'll be a time they never forget. Huh. Jason could have gotten both of them with that pitchfork. No matter, Michael finds a scythe and slashes Samantha off screen, then finds his way to the doofy deputies with a pitchfork. The party clears out, so Tina goes looking for her friends but finds them dead in the barn and the deputies dead in their cruiser. Jamie and Billy show up at the worst possible time as Michael begins chasing all three of them in his car. He nearly takes down Billy, who hilariously just waves his hands at Michael to stop, then just jumps out of the way at the last second. While chasing Jamie through the woods though, he does make contact with something. Four straight movies with a car explosion. Michael manages to exit the fiery wreck and closes in on Jamie. Boy, I sure hope someone doesn't sacrifice themselves here. Reverse psychology pulls through again. The kids are able to get away, but are caught by someone just as scary as Michael in this movie, Dr. Loomis. Jamie finally agrees to help Loomis in his crusade to stop Michael. All it took was the death of the most annoying character, not when her foster sister was murdered. After all the ambulances and police leave, Loomis stays behind to call out to Michael, offering to help suppress his rage.
You have to fight it in the place where it's strongest, where it all began. Michael, go home. Go home!
So everyone stations themselves at the not Myers house to wait for Michael's arrival. Jamie is pretty much acting as bait upstairs with Deputy Charlie, but she has a vision that Michael is attacking the clinic instead, forcing the entire police squad to move out, leaving them alone. Charlie offers to take Jamie to the station, but Loomis shuts that down since he knows Michael is already outside.
Eddie, can you read me?
Another oddly edited death that is almost off screen. After holding Charlie at gunpoint to stay put, Loomis goes downstairs to actually speak and reason with Michael in hopes of helping him use Jamie to end his rage. It's no use as Michael slashes and throws Loomis aside, then heads upstairs to kill Deputy Charlie. In an admittedly good scene, Jamie manages to hide in a laundry chute, but it proves to be futile after Michael finds her. Stuck at the bottom, Jamie has no way out but up, getting a lift from Michael's knife to help boost her up, escaping certain death. She goes to the attic and finds a coffin with her picture in it, along with the dead bodies of Mike, Max, and Rachel. Hearing Michael approaching, it seems as though Jamie accepts her fate and climbs into the coffin. Before Michael can stab her, she calls out to her uncle, the boogeyman, stopping him and getting him to remove his mask.
Oh my dear God. Are you one of those single-tier people? Do I look like a double fucking rainbow to you?
Just so much wrong in one scene. Why would Michael stop simply because she cried out to him? He was ready to slice her up in the laundry chute 2 minutes ago. Why take off the mask? Why show us that he has a full head of hair and no burn injuries whatsoever? And why would he cry? That close-up tear is the most pathetic moment for Michael in the entire franchise. Well, he snaps out of it and continues to pursue Jamie, but she falls into Loomis's arms. But he's gone off the deep end now.
You want her! Here she is! Let's play a game. Catch the little girl.
It's all a trap though, as Loomis drops chains on top of Michael, shoots him with tranquilizers, and beats the crap out of him with a wood plank. I've always assumed he has a heart attack here because after all that, he just collapses on Michael. Myers is put in a jail cell, all chained up, the second most pathetic moment for him, and Jamie is escorted out of the station. However, the man in black comes back again and shoots up the place like he's in a gangster movie. Jamie returns inside to see the destruction, death, and empty Myers' cell. What's there to be sad about, Jamie? Movie's finally over. My overall thoughts on Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. It sucks. You can absolutely tell how rushed this was with its frail storyline that clearly doesn't know where it's going or what the hell it's even setting up. Seriously, all the Man in Black and Thorn tattoos on the wrists were made up by the director Gerard, and he had no explanation for them, saying let them figure it out in Halloween 6. Why the hell would you introduce things that you had no plan for whatsoever? Because when they do try to explain it in the next entry, it became a goddamn mess. Bottom line, follow through with the elements you set up. Making Jamie a mute for like 2/3 of the film is complete nonsense. It's not explained why she's that way, except the speculation that it's because Michael can't, or rather doesn't talk either. And giving her a psychic connection to Michael is just so outlandish for a series that has remained relatively grounded. The rest of the characters suck pretty hard too. Rachel gets killed off far too quickly, and we're forced to hang out with people who I've deemed Friday the 13th rejects. Tina is one of the series' most unbearably annoying characters, and her friends Mike, Samantha, and Spitz are no better and totally forgettable. Sheriff Meeker's role is reduced to like 2 or 3 scenes, even though he was one of the stronger characters in part 4. And Loomis. I'll be honest, for how crazy he is, he's still the only reason I can sit through this one. He's officially lost his mind, but I'm entertained by his over-the-topness. He's put up with so much garbage thanks to Myers, and he wants the madness over, even if it means shaking a little mute girl and screaming at her to help. I just don't understand why now he thinks it's Michael's rage that drives him, and there's a way that he can repress that using Jamie. This may also be Michael at his absolute absolute lowest for me in terms of scariness. He's reduced to crying and fumbling with his chains in a jail cell by the end as he tries to subdue his rage. He doesn't even try to hide anymore. He stands out in broad daylight with no chill. I do think Don Shanks was a better build and height than George Wilbur, but that mask is trash. They got the cast for it using Greg Nicotero's face. A lot of you may know him for his work on The Walking Dead. It just looks so dumb though. The hair and the face just seem too long and it's untucked the entire time. Tuck in that fucking mask. Take a lesson from Buffalo Bill and tuck it in. Speaking of designs, who the hell chose that house to be the Myers house? It went from a regular old building to a freaking Victorian Gothic home. It is creepy and looks nice, but hell, don't spit on my cupcake and tell me it's frosting. The kills are the weakest, with the exception of the garden tool to Mike's face. So many are either off-screen, edited terribly, or completely void of uniqueness. The only scene I like is Jamie struggling with Michael in the laundry chute. It's actually pretty tense, shot decently, and preys on claustrophobia well. That scene and Crazy Loomis are the only things I enjoy about this one. It's a total mess, the characters suck, Michael and his kills are weak, elements are introduced that have no payoff, and it's a bore to sit through. I give Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers 1.5 garden rakes out of 5. But what are your thoughts? Do you actually enjoy this entry? Is Michael not as pathetic as I think he is here? Were you fine with Jamie's psychic link to him? And what was your favorite kill? Don't forget to subscribe and follow my Twitter and Instagram. Links to those are in the description. Next week, Michael's motives are explained by the Cult of Thorn in Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers. Until next time, peace!